Episode here. I'm here with Hannah Melady. She's a very good friend of mine, and Hannah, I'd like to thank you for coming out today. Today we're going to talk about a plethora of topics from motherhood, celibacy, modern dating, and relationships. So again, Hannah, thank you so much for coming, and I'm really excited to kind of go through a lot of these questions and topics that we kind of prepared for today.
Yeah.
So how it's going to work today is we're just going to get into some of the topics.
Yeah.
We're going to talk. If there's insight or if you have questions or something that maybe isn't, something that was prepared, feel free to just, bring whatever comes to your mind. And it's an open, safe space, so you can say whatever, comes to mind or whatever you feel. And that's really it. So today we're just going to get started. So the first question that I have for you is, what did relationships look like in your home growing up?
I had basically a dream childhood. My parents are definitely soulmates, if you believe in that. But I'm a middle child of three. I had a very healthy family dynamic. My parents always accepted me. I was a wild middle child, and my siblings were just very by the book good, but I was basically perpetually grounded my entire life. And my parents just accepted me for who I was. And I think as I got older, I realized that in most cases, I was actually the odd one out, because a lot of my friends' parents didn't even like each other. They didn't like their siblings. I remember going to a friend's house when I was like 7 or 8 and seeing the family dynamic, and their parents clearly didn't know how to communicate. It was such a shock to my system. And even learning about what divorce was as a young child was so traumatizing to me. And it took me a while to realize that I was actually the person who, like one of my friends who I was actually more the odd one out. And like the average familial relationship, the parents weren't really on the same page, and it wasn't like as an accepting space. And I always, my entire life, I never questioned if I was loved or anything like that. So my parents are amazing to this day. My family is the most important thing to me.
So how does that challenge now your idea of men and women? Because often, like you said, a lot of times when we grow up in a home where maybe we don't see it, it's hard to understand it. But is it kind of the opposite for you? Was it that you saw what it was supposed to be, and then you also saw what it wasn't? So how did that impact the way that you saw yourself, or how you thought men and women should be in a relationship?
Yeah, it kind of, as I aged, it kind of went back and forth between things. I think for when I was younger, a lot of it was I really trusted men and like I fully was like little girls and little boys, they're sold a completely different story growing up, like even in Disney movies and stuff like that. From a young age as a girl, it's ingrained in you that there's going to be a prince and all of this stuff, and little boys aren't that, relationships aren't idealized at all. It's all about just like doing what you want to do, playing trucks, whatever, dinosaurs, like to simplify it. But sorry, I can't remember. What was your question?
Well, no, you brought up a good point. So, talking about this Cinderella story and kind of how we start off with this fantasy. Well, for some people a fantasy, others maybe they do find that perfect person, which like your parents, they were soulmates. I think what I was trying to understand is this idea of, I'm assuming you looked up to your mom. And, in your household, you probably saw, did your parents have a traditional kind of like your mom did certain things, your dad did certain things?
When my dad worked full time and my mom stayed home, and that's both what they always wanted to do. And my mom said, like, they met in university, and she said at the beginning of their relationship, they both were very clear about what they wanted, and they were honest, you know what I mean? And it worked out very well for them. Like, they're very rare for the way their things worked out. And so when I was younger, I always knew I wanted to be a mom, and I knew I wanted to be with someone like my dad, because my mom's very feisty, and my dad is a very calm, sensitive, emotionally intelligent person. And they both, it was nice to have the balance, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So did you, like, when you were younger, did you grow up kind of thinking like, okay, one day I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be just like my mom?
Because, yeah, I fully believe that.
You know, growing up in a home where you saw your mom kind of play that, you know, stay-at-home mom vibe, it wasn't maybe seen as, you know, because I think today what I hear a lot is that there's two sides. People either look down on people who just like stay at home as a mom.
Totally.
Or it's like the opposite. There's people who stay at home and they are moms, and people are like, you know, you don't understand how much work it is.
It's a lot of work. And like, I hear people say that everything is a job until a mom does it. You know what I mean? So I think that, and like, women's unpaid labor is $1 billion industry. You know what I mean? Cooking, drives, laundry, everything like that. I think they're equally important. Mothers who stay home and mothers who work, it's your choice. You know what I mean? You have to just kind of do things, live your life for you. But I definitely, when I was younger, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a mom, though. And so I just thought I was going to have her life.
And so emotionally, as you were kind of transitioning now from that fantasy of childhood and Cinderella, you know, Prince is going to come save you.
Yeah.
What were you looking for emotionally, you know, as you stepped into adulthood? Because now you realize, okay, that prince isn't coming, so what happens there?
It's been a lot of different sections of time where it's been kind of all over the place, but originally, like, it's hard to say, because in my family dynamic, I was like the bad one, like the black sheep, just wild child. Like, I'm so sorry to my mom and dad. I'm sorry. But I think being like the bad one in my family kind of pushed me to hang out with people who were a little more wild in my social life. Like, once I started having a social life, I just went off the rails, kind of, you know what I mean? Because I think maybe subconsciously I didn't want to feel like the bad one in my interactions with people. And that's nobody's fault. I think I was trying to find balance. But it's changed a lot over my life. I think that, sorry, what's your question again? Well, sorry, I keep going off.
No, it's fine. Because I think what the next question we're talking about is finding like independence. And so I think from that place of you being, you know, the wild child and looking for, you know, that connection with these maybe not as good characters, right? Do you feel like that also in some ways was like you trying to find your own independence versus just kind of saying, okay, I know what my parents want. I know what everybody expects me to be in this perfect family. But like, this is what I want to be.
Totally. Yeah. I think the thing is, one thing I never really felt pressured by what my parents wanted of me. Like, they were just so accepting of who I was, and I liked who I was for the most part. But once I started getting into relationships with, like, as a teenager, getting older and stuff like that, I think that I definitely was naive, as most young people are, especially women, because it's what we're sold since childhood. And I think that having a sense of self is like the most important thing you can do, especially for little girls as they go throughout their life, because I still had this image of my parents in the back, and I just was like, I'm gonna meet this amazing guy like my dad. Like I was like, I'm just gonna have that. You know what I mean? And I was in like many abusive relationships. And the thing is, they're never like that in the beginning, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's been a wild ride navigating what how I was in relationships, how I saw myself, and the reality of how the world is now.
Do you think that, like, because you're a mom and you obviously have a daughter, can you now look back at some of those moments? Like, I think talking more about, I don't know if you'd call it a rebellion phase or that kind of, you know.
I was just always like
going against the grain, so to speak.
Yeah.
But would you kind of see that, like, there's this pro of like, yes, your parents loved you and they gave you that freedom to be who you wanted to be, which I think is something that we do in society, which is we feel like we're doing something good sometimes by letting people do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes, and I think more as an adult, even when I think of myself, there's a lot of things I did when I was younger that I kind of look back at and I kind of think, man, I was so dumb because my brain wasn't developed enough to understand that those choices or things that I was doing, maybe I thought that was fun or cool back then, but now looking back at it, I'm like dummy, like why were you why were you doing that?
You don't know what you don't know, and having my daughter was like night and day, how I saw everything. But from before I had her to after having her, because it gave me self-worth. And the thing is, because I could see myself in her, and that's how I live my life now. Every decision I make in my life, I ask myself, if she was coming to me with this problem, what would I say to her? And it has made it so easy to drastically just refine my life and my life choices. And I am so different now.
Do you think that now that you have a daughter and you have, like, I'm thinking when you're young, there's not really, there is a consequence, but it's not the same as like as a mom.
Oh yeah.
You kind of have this thing where you think like, hey, if I go out and do X, Y, Z, that's not just going to affect me, that's also going to affect her.
Exactly. Like everything, the thing is, she just like, she is a part of me now. Like she just lives in all my thoughts. She's just always there. Everything is filtered through her, I feel like. And the thing is, I think I was just, before having her, a lot more malleable. Because I was always like a free spirit, I was just kind of like, just letting the wind take me where it wanted to go.
Right.
And I'm a pretty peaceful person, and I like to hear other people's the sides of their stories, you know? So I think I didn't really have a direction. So it definitely got me into some trouble because I just didn't really care where I was. You know what I mean? And it just, having her just like locked me in. Like just everything is about her. And because through the love I have for her, it made me love myself. And I didn't realize that I was lacking self-love until I had her.
Right.
And it put everything in my life into perspective, and she's just like an angel.
So would you say that now that you have a framework to operate in as a mother and you have a purpose as a mother, would you say that you find that the true empowerment of motherhood comes from this idea of, again, like having a purpose beyond just yourself? Like it's not just, okay, what do I want to do today?
Totally. Like I think that motherhood is so romanticized, and the thing is, it's the biggest ego death that you can have. Like everything about your life and who you are just dies, you know what I mean? And you can't go back. And I had like very severe postpartum depression, and I feel like a lot of women do. And there's so much that isn't talked about, because like there's duality to it, because your baby is perfect. It doesn't even have anything to do with the baby. It's your life doesn't belong to you now, and you need to keep this thing alive. And like it just becomes so primal in the sense that you just don't care about anything that you cared about before, and it's really hard, and it takes like a long time. But yeah, I didn't even think about dating until she was about 3 years old, and even then I didn't want to focus on anything else. I just needed to like have fun, like learn how to have fun again, you know what I mean? But like having her and being a single mom basically since she was born, like relationships just were kind of removed from my focus altogether, and I focus on her and I focus on myself, and whatever comes. But.
So let's transition into, you talked a little bit about, dating as a single mom or dating there. And I think there used to be a taboo, I think, of even, having kids, like teen moms, like there was all those shows on TLC where, I remember in high school, it was so taboo if someone got
That's
pregnant.
what everyone watched too.
Right.
Like
and
it was
like,
so
I don't want to be a teen
traumatizing.
mom one day, like it was really painted as like you were it was a shameful situation if you just got pregnant and there wasn't this family nucleus behind, your kid, but at the same time it's also very common.
Yeah, I know. I had my daughter at 27, and even then, like even her doctor said, he's like, you're one of the youngest moms in here and stuff. And I was engaged at the time.
Right.
And I still felt, I was like, am I old enough to be doing this? You know what I mean?
And
like
27 is not young.
It's young. Like the thing is, like it is, but it isn't. It's just, it's very, it's messes with your mind a little bit.
Because imagine putting yourself in the shoes of 16-year-old, you, and kind of feeling what you're feeling at 27.
That would be so bad.
You're a decade apart from somebody who's starting, their motherhood journey.
Yeah, the thing is, you can't prepare for it.
Right.
Like you can read every book. You don't know until it's happening, and even then, your hormones are just crazy, and you're just in a new world. You're being born too with your child, so you can't really prepare. You just have to cross your fingers and hope for the best.
Do you think it's, and I mean, I guess maybe it's different for everyone's situation, but do you think it's irresponsible for people who are pregnant or for people that are freshly out of a relationship with their child's father or mother to say kind of like, hey, let me start dating? Because I have friends who were pregnant or married and like freshly divorced, and their kids are sometimes not even a year or 2 years, and then they're dating, and I've seen sometimes it works out and other times the dating doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So
I personally, like, to each his own, but I personally am against it. I don't think that's okay. I think if you have a young child or if you're pregnant, you definitely should not be dating. You need to be focusing on yourself and your child more than anything. And I think a lot of women don't fully grasp the fact that their own sexual energy is their creative energy too. So as a woman, if you're feeling like you need to get some type of validation from a man or anything like that, it's because you need to redirect that energy into either something creative, yourself. Just, it means that energy is stagnant and you're putting it into someone else. You're putting it into a man, an idea, whatever. All of that belongs to you, and especially if you're pregnant or have a new child, keep it in the bubble, because don't give it to other people. This is it's not the time for that, Right. So.
Well, I think I've been through 2 pregnancies, and I've never had, I've been married, so I've had children with my partner. And I think that for me and my wife, I think that experience of pregnancy was so intimate.
Yeah.
And it was so, like, unique and special. I couldn't imagine meeting someone on a dating app or at a bar. Like, I don't even know where I would meet them, but and then going through this really intimate process of having that child or welcome them into the world or being there in those first kind of years. And not to say that I think that people can't be step parents. There's lots of people who have great stepdads or they've adopted. Yeah. But I just think that, especially if the biological parents are alive and they're also a part of the kid's life, I think it creates this weird dynamic now for the kids where now it's like, I have a mom, I have a dad, but then who's
it's so I think it's
person?
Yeah. And also, like, as a woman, like, you don't need to be doing that right now. And as a man, if there's a man actively seeking, or not, like, I don't know, for me personally, it would be a red flag if someone was interested in someone who is pregnant with someone else's child. Right. As a man, you know what I mean? And the thing is, dating apps, like, I'm basically against dating apps right now. The thing is, if you were a single pregnant woman and you met someone organically, totally different story. You know what I mean? But apps, men and women use dating apps for 2 totally different things. And the thing is, I'm not going to generalize, but majority of men use dating apps for either sex, ego, attention, something like that. You know what I mean? The amount of men who are on dating apps because they want to be in a relationship is very small, if any. You know what I mean? There aren't men out there like, I just wish I had a girlfriend. Like, I'm just dying to be in a loving relationship. All the men on dating apps, that's not the conversation they're having before going on them. You know what I mean?
So let's unpack that. So for you, what would you say your definition of like, because maybe the issue is like the definition. So like, what is a relationship?
Like
for you, like, what would be because I'm assuming that, if some guy comes to you and he just says, hey, let's Netflix and chill, right? Yeah. From day one, you're like, okay, well, that's not what my expectation is. I'd want to...
Yeah. I've been single for, like, years. I've been a long time. So the thing is... Okay, so with dating apps, there's, like, minimal to no effort required. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm off them now, because it's like the most convenient bang for your buck type of thing as a man. And the thing is, I believe in just meeting people organically now.
Okay.
And the thing is, if you are self-focused and you become the center of your own attention, things will naturally magnetize to you anyway. The right people, circumstances will come. But it's a broad question, so it's kind of like...
The reason I say that is because, I did a series about why modern relationships fail, and one of the things that I talk about is commitment. And I think commitment is so important because I think, and chime in whenever, you feel like it. I think that the first step to what I believe a relationship is, it starts with commitment.
Yeah.
Because I think what, you alluded to with the dating apps is, I'm getting access to you in a really vulnerable way without me as a man first making it at least very, what's the word? Like, obvious to you.
Yeah.
What is that I want from you and what, you expect of me. And I think what a relationship is us having a conversation of what our roles are.
Totally.
What that commitment looks like.
Yeah.
What the expectations are, what the boundaries are, what the behaviors are. And I think what dating apps does, to your point, is it eliminates those really hard conversations that I think you're supposed to have with not only the person, but their family and their friends and other people. And it just gives me this kind of like hunter-prey vibes where it's like,
totally.
I just get access to you.
Yeah.
And I get to bypass all the kind of protective layers that actually protect you from people that could be bad.
Totally. And I think that, through my friends, I hear, like, the average dating experience is, in my opinion, just very dehumanizing and just, it's not, I don't even know how you could call it dating at this point, because you just hear the same story over and over again. And the thing is, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of men are on dating apps for sex. And the thing is, men will marry you until they will do anything to to show their spot in a patriarchal society. I have a wife, I have this, they're in control type of thing. So sorry, I'm kind of all over the place right now.
No, that's fine. Let's talk about that. So I know that, sex is something that's obviously very important in this society. Mm-hmm. And I think sex is a very important thing. Yeah. But I think that, I talked about this concept of there's a parable in the Bible that talks about sex as a fire. Mm-hmm. And when you have a fire in a fireplace, it's very nice. It's very great. But when that fire goes on the furniture and it goes on the curtains and it goes on everywhere else, right? Yeah. It's not as good. Yeah. And so what I think, again, going back to the definition of relationship, how do you feel about, I don't think that sex is bad, but I think it's the vessel that, sex is in. And I think, if you're married and you're with your husband and, the father of your child and you guys have a great sex life, there's nothing wrong with that type of energy. But then to your point, when it's a stranger and, maybe that stranger turns into 8 strangers or 9 strangers and I've kept putting this really intimate part of myself out there with people, I can't imagine that you're going to feel good after that exchange.
I think that women, it's with dating apps and stuff, it's kind of like men see women's sexuality as something to be bargained for. Right. And I think a lot of women don't understand that their own sexuality belongs to them and nobody can take it from you. And you are completely valid in however you want to express yourself creatively or sexually, you know what I mean? But I think that the average dating experience, it's like it kind of boils down to men being performative for sex and then women going into it thinking this could turn into a relationship, you know what I mean?
You think so? Like, do you think that, like, okay, for example, like, I don't know, if I want to take someone on a date, I take you to Nobu versus taking you to Swiss Chalet, right? Yeah. In my mind, as a guy, if a woman was to take me to Nobu and then at the end of the date she would say, okay, what's going on here, right? Yeah. As a man, I would imagine that, especially, well, maybe in North America, in other cultures, you're not really supposed to date at all like that. But here, we date like that. And so someone barters my sexuality for whether it's my time, something, and then it's kind of, I feel like people are not going to say it, like a guy's not going to say to you, hey,
Well, that's the thing. That's what I think the problem is, though. People need to start saying, like, there is so many expectations from men. I'm doing this, this, and this, and I'm expecting this. You know what I mean? They're saying the quiet part out loud. I'm expecting sex. I'm not expecting you, like, you shouldn't be prepared for me to care about you as a human being, your whatever, your emotions, your body, your autonomy type of thing. It's saying, I've spent some money and I've put on this nice performance for you, so I am expecting that, but I'm going to say it like a gentleman. Like, it's so in your face And the thing is, just because we aren't saying the words,
right,
I'm spending this amount of money so I can have sex with you. Like we need to be saying things like that. Like I feel like it's so in your face, but because nobody says the word, it's like, well, like that's just being polite. And like, that's insane to me.
But I think again, if I don't ask questions, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's weird to go on a date with somebody and not ask that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like I think it's weird for me and you to be alone by ourselves.
Yeah.
In a place, eating food. Like a date is a very intimate kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think people casually just like go on dates.
Yeah.
And put themselves in really intimate situations and not kind of ask people like,
yeah,
what kind of person are you?
100%.
Like, what are you looking for?
It's like, yeah, like, are you safe to be around?
Well, like, are you the kind of person who's going to buy me dinner and then think that I'm going to have sex with you at the end of the night? Like,
yeah.
To me, as a woman, I think that's a very valid question that I shouldn't wait till I go into a car or go.
I think it should be discussed before even meeting someone in person. What are you looking for? But the thing is, I feel like a lot of women are honest in those situations, and a lot of men are not.
Like they lie about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not looking for.
Yeah. No. But
a relationship.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very easy. Like that's why I think dating apps are so popular, though, because for men, it's like. It's kind of like sex work in a way, you know. It's the easiest. It's a source. You know what I mean? Dating apps are a source. And for men, it's a source for one thing, and for women, it's a source for a different thing. They're hopeful, and I think women should only be on dating apps if they are in a good place mentally and emotionally, and if they want to do something socially. I think a lot of women, you just hear the same story over and over again. And from my friends and stuff, just like, well, like he was great for like 2 or 3 dates and then like he disappeared or he went crazy and all that stuff. It's like, because they're only going to put in that performative effort for a certain amount of time, and they're like, I'm not getting what I want, I'm out, and they don't care. You know what I mean? So
what do you think about the opposite? Like, what do you think about the cases where, you know, maybe we are dating for 2-3 years?
Yeah.
And, you know, we have sex, I have full access to you as a woman, but we're not married. I don't necessarily really have to commit to you beyond maybe saying, okay, you're my girlfriend, and you've met my friends, maybe I bring you to dinner to meet my parents one time. Why would I, as a man, like, what's the incentive for a man if he doesn't have to wait for sex? Like, even if I, quote unquote, beat out that performance stage, maybe I'm there for 6 months or 9 months, whatever time frame.
You're in it.
I play, I do everything that's right. And then you're like, okay, this guy's nice. He's not, right? You sleep with him. Things are going well. But then isn't that, you know, person still in that same place as the 2 to 3 dates person? Because it's like, yeah, you made him wait, but in a sense, it's like you still just gave them access without them truly giving you any access to who they are.
Well, if you think about it in that way, you know what I mean? The thing is, it depends what you value as a person and what you genuinely want from someone else. But I think it goes back to this like core belief of a lot of people think that like you having like a woman having sex with a guy, like that's like the ultimate like forbidden thing, and like she knows he wants that type of thing, blah blah blah. But it's like if you are not having honest conversations with someone about your past, anything serious, then like you shouldn't be giving them that access. And it's a personal issue for people. I think people need to take themselves more seriously and understand their own value, because a relationship is not supposed to be revolving around, it's supposed to be an equal balance and understanding. It's not supposed to be a bargain and like a completely transactional situation. Like that's not necessarily a real relationship. That's a business relationship, you know? It's like, what can you do for me? I'll do this for you. But I think if you really genuinely have the hard conversations up front and understand your values, and you can see in someone's history or the people around them or certain patterns that shows what is valuable to them, then go to that next step of whatever it might be. You know what I mean? It's a completely personal experience.
I say that because I see a trend where I think people are in 2, 3, 4-year relationships. Mm-hmm. They break up.
Yeah.
And then often the woman will feel used. Or she'll feel like, did you really love me? You just kind of used me. But at the same time, I kind of feel like, going back to our previous talk about what is a relationship, I think when we have that first conversation and I value myself and I set that expectation with you, man or woman, if I say, hey, I want to get married and I want to get married within a year.
Yeah.
And for that year, you got things you got to work on. I got things I got to work on.
Yeah.
I don't know, baggage, whatever stuff we got. Let's come to the table.
Yeah.
Let's work on that stuff. Let's communicate with our families what's going on and what our plans are so that other people can also hold us accountable.
Yeah.
Not just him saying something to me in the dark and
totally.
her saying something to me in the dark. I think that's the problem. I think, again, it's easy for people to just tell you something.
People will say anything these days.
Text or whatever.
Yeah, it's so easy to, words are the cheapest form of currency. But I think for men, if they're taking dating seriously, take sex off the table and what's left. And what do you see there? And for women, take stability or money off the table and what do you have left? And go from those things, because people just men get distracted by sex, women get distracted by money or stability, whatever it might be. So put those things aside and see what you have left. And if you're genuinely serious about being in someone's life or involving them in yours and it actually feels good and healthy, then start with that. You know what I mean? I think people see something, they just see the end goal and they're just like, I'll do whatever I need to get there. And that's the problem.
Yeah, because I think for my relationship, I think before that, if someone had told me, wait 6 months before you're intimate with the person, I would be like, oh, that person is crazy.
Yeah.
But when I thought about it, I was like, if I truly love a person or I want to be with them long term, sex shouldn't be
the goal
or the end goal or the only thing.
It shouldn't be the peak of your...
There should be other elements of the relationship that I'm working on. And because I see that relationship as something long term, I should be willing to work on those other things and do those other things so that way when we do get to that point or that place where now you can have sex, there's stability, there's money, there's communication, there's all those other...
It's supposed to be enjoyable for everyone, you know? Yeah, I think that people base the lead up on they'll say whatever they need to get by, and then once they get there, it just fizzles out because none of it was real, So it's like you have to equally water all areas of the relationship and open your eyes. Stop seeing people for potential or even just a feeling. Actually take yourself out of it. And this ties me back into what I say about my daughter, as all my decisions are filtered through her. It becomes very easy when you take yourself out of the situation and just see it from an outside perspective and look at yourself in a way that if I was giving someone advice in this situation, someone younger, someone who is more naive, anything like that, what would I say to this person for them to genuinely succeed or thrive in a healthy situation? Because it's very easy to be blinded by, we're blind to ourselves and our own emotions, and things just feel normal in your own life. But if you think about, if you have a younger sibling or something, them being in your situation, it's like, why would you let him do that? It becomes very just clear. And you need to learn how to see yourself with that clarity, because it bleeds out to everything else in your life once you start working on your own self-worth. I think that is kind of the root of everything when it comes to dating, because I think that men are so external in their validation, and women women like external validation as well, but I think it's a more internal process. I think men are more looking for proof of their success, whatever, who am I in society type of thing, and that tells me who I am. I think women want to feel seen for who they are inside, and when you meet a man that validates that, it's like a huge thing for a woman. I think it's mirrored,
I think society might put things on two extremes, because I think because sex has become weaponized, I think it goes the other way, because I think there's people that are also in, married men, married women who are in relationships where the intimacy is not there. Yeah. And intimacy can also be weaponized.
Totally.
And I think that where a lot of people don't understand the importance of intimacy is like, I think there's this old saying where they say like, it's kind of weird in English, but like in Hebrew, they'll say like, sex between you and your partner is like a form of worship. It's like kind of like singing, right? Or it's like, it's seen as an act of like really positive. Yeah. So it's like, you would never think like, oh, I don't want to sing today with, my partner or whatever. Yeah. But I think because in society we've taken out the purpose of it, that it's lost
it's separate. Purpose. It's like dehumanizing, you know what I mean? Right. It's like sex is one of the most human experiences you can have. It creates life. You know what I mean?
It's become more carnal than it's become spiritual.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, it's like a physical thing now. I like people, they have objectified it so much that it's like this elusive thing that is hovering around all these people on dating apps, and like, are you going to take it? No, I don't know. It's like, it's not to be bargained for, and it doesn't belong to anyone. You don't, and as a woman, you don't lose anything by being sexual with a man, whether you're dating them or not. It doesn't have anything to do with your own value, but I think that we're so programmed to believe that it does, and I think that's why men see it as a goal, and women, a lot of women see it as something to like protect and sometimes bargain with, because it's completely taken the human experience out of something that is like creates humans. I
think there's a power, because I think that where the power comes from, like when we talk about men and women's roles, and I think that as a woman, when you're able to be your feminine self, and you're able to love and to nurture and to bring that sexual energy to that man who is your foundation or to your rock, I think what it actually does is it constantly, I think human beings, we're doing this in our relationships, right? Yeah. And I think that one of the really strong things that, keep you binded together is when you have that intimacy and you guys come back together. Yeah. I think what that does is that turns off sometimes a lot of that noise, because I always say to people, be with somebody that you love and tell me you're angry when you kiss them, or tell me, you don't fight when you're being intimate, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And so it's a balance. It's always this kind of moment where our ego dies and we realize, hey, there's something bigger than my socks on the ground, or if the dishwasher got packed this morning, or
it's an exchange. Like it's a fine line between being transactional and being a genuine sharing situation. Right. It's supposed to be shared, and so I don't know.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about like reclaiming yourself. So we know that you went through this season of motherhood, kind of by yourself. And I think that, one would argue that that's supposed to be a season where that's something that you shared. For people at home watching, how did you go through, or what did that process of forgiveness look like? Because I think we talk about the problems, but let's talk about the healing part. Because, did you have to start by forgiving yourself?
Totally. It was really dark for like a lot of my pregnancy and after I had her, because I'm in a great place with my ex, but right after I got pregnant and it was COVID and just things, we both had very unfortunate things both happening in our own lives, and it just wasn't working. But sorry, I'm blanking out a little bit. What do you say?
Take your time.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I had to grieve, realizing that because so much of my identity was in my parents and my siblings, because I had such a beautiful childhood, I had to grieve that my personal family wasn't going to be like that. And it made me, because my parents were so good in their relationship, it's not that I looked down on divorce or anything like that, but it was just such a foreign thing for me growing up. And seeing myself as someone, like, I'm a single parent. Like, it was hard for me to accept that, it was everything, what I believed about my life for my whole life, it wasn't going to be that. And I couldn't go back, you know what I mean? But it gave me time to learn about myself, because I had a lot of idealization on what I wanted things to be. And I definitely grieved that idea and learned, like, I love my life so much now. It belongs to me. I've worked very hard to love myself and my situation and what I've been through, because I've been through so much, and I did it by myself. And I think I wouldn't change any of it, as painful as it was and as long as it was. I wouldn't change one thing about it, but it is definitely hard as a woman. Like, pregnancy is the biggest ego death you will ever have. You're just done. Everything before that is done, and none of it matters. And it's basically overnight that you have to just understand that your life doesn't belong to you right now, and you need to focus, But
right.
It's hard.
And so do you kind of respect your parents a lot more now as a parent? Because I think sometimes what people don't realize is, like, there's a lot of work that goes into making, relationships look good or perfect or whatever it is. And I think sometimes people are kind of naive, or they're too nonchalant. And I think that there's something so important about, like, doing the pre-work, because sometimes, whether it's dating, pregnancy, whatever it is, you're in that situation, and then you're kind of like, man, I wish I had done.
That was a huge
XYZ
thing because you just kind of, when you're younger, you just hope for the best, right. And you have an idea in your head, and you're like, it's going to be fine. Like, everyone does, this is normal, and it's so much of what actually happens isn't what's talked about. And just like, it's hard, but yeah, it's a lot.
What led you to choose the path of celibacy?
It was never a choice. The thing is, when I got pregnant at the beginning of COVID, I was forced into so much alone time, and obviously I stopped drinking and everything like that. So it really was like a very raw experienced with myself. And I didn't realize for a lot of my life, I was numbing myself, and I'd been in several abusive relationships, and I didn't realize how much didn't deal with a lot of those traumas before. And so it sat me down, and it just forced me to be completely real with myself. And I had so much time alone that and then being pregnant for almost a year and having that experience and having so many past things come up, and then having my daughter and then having severe postpartum depression, it wasn't even a thought in my mind to date or anything like that. And it just kind of stuck because through having my daughter, my self-worth just like exploded, and my whole life was put into perspective, and that's just how it was. It wasn't a choice until I was like a couple years in, and I'm like, I've been celibate for almost 3 or 4 years now. And it is one of the best things that I've ever done for myself, but it wasn't an active choice to start it or anything like that. It happened naturally, and I felt better just being in my own energy, and I didn't want anyone to come into my bubble.
And so, how do you think celibacy has now set you up for the future and for the things that you want?
Well, goes into self-worth again, but I just feel very like I belong to myself, and I just feel I'm a very intuitive person. And even being around like my best friends, after a couple hours, I'm like, I am drained, you know what I mean? So I feel healthiest when I'm in my own energy, and when I am I feel freer and more contained when I'm in control of myself and my space. And hopefully one day there will be someone that will break my celibacy, but
right.
It's not something that I'm actively trying to do. It's just who I am now as a person doesn't allow certain things into my life, and that's how it happened.
Because I think, maybe not in a similar vein as your celibacy journey, but I think for me, celibacy was an empowerment for me, because I think it set me up for what my next goals were. And I think that something that sometimes it's hard to do when you're dating in a more traditional North American sense is like, I think sometimes when your mind is just focused on that, that sometimes there's patterns that get revealed in yourself. And I like the fact that you brought up this point of how there was things about yourself that you were numbing. And I think that sometimes sex is like a proverbial, piece of paint or scotch tape that we put over the holes.
Totally.
In our
soul. It feels good to be around someone, to be physical with someone. Those things feel good. But if you're not in the mental space if you're not feeling good in yourself, you should not be focused on anything outside of you. You need to you have to be your own biggest investment, and that investment will bleed out into everything in your life, Right. It ripples out. So I think that's where a lot of people get stuck in loops of like casual sex, external validation, that type of thing, because it feels good, and you know that you can get it if you want to. It's not hard to get, that's like dating apps. You know what I mean? That's where a lot of it comes from. So I think that self-love is the best love, and if you feel good in that, then you can start opening new doors to doing whatever you feel like doing. It's about you feeling good, you know? Yeah.
And so so we talked a little bit about feminism before, but I know that you said that you've had a kind of new perspective or journey or experience with it.
Yeah.
Was that because of this kind of time that you spent by yourself to kind of look at things?
Totally. I have my daughter, and I had a crazy spiritual awakening like a year ago, and it just, once you see, as a woman, once you see how everything is based around patriarchy and things like that, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I saw this creator, she was saying, imagine there was never a male president, and imagine there was men's help centers on every corner of the street, and like things like that. Like, it's so, once you see how in your face it is, you can't go back from it. And I love microfeminisms. It's really fun for me because like if you were addressing a group of people, and especially like in a work environment, and you said, hey girls, and there was men there, they would be like, why are you calling me a girl? You know what I mean? It's like, well, that's normalized. You know what I mean? You don't realize how much everything is based around men, and women are so secondary in just like fundamental, basic building blocks of society, everything. And once you see it, and having a daughter, for me, if I can stop her from experiencing so many of the horrible things that I experienced at the hands of men, then I will do that. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it now, just because every girl, woman I know has a story about something horrible happening to them. And my daughter is the center of my universe, and if I can do anything to make it a better place for her, then I will do that. But
so kind of going back to what we talked about with your parents, so seeing your dad obviously not maybe fall up to maybe that, you know, what would we say? Like, I'm assuming that your dad loves you.
Yeah, he's so sweet.
Provided for you, and he loves your mom, he loves your family.
Yeah.
So seeing a man actually be in a patriarchal role, but actually love you or actually do it right, do you think that the roles are the issue, or do you think it's that it's like the roles can work? Like if a woman stays at home, you know, it's not bad. If a man is, you know, a leader, or he provides for his family, or he protects you from bad people. But do you think it's similar to that fire in the furnace thing, where it only works when it's in a certain situation, like
exactly
when it's in a family, when it's not just like in a company and I don't care about you and I just want to boss you around and I'm a mean
and like,
person.
Totally. I think everything is personalized. Like your entire life is about you, and it should be about you. You know what I mean? And I think like having like patriarchy, it hurts men too. You know what I mean? It hurts everyone. And the thing is, having a really healthy role model and father, it set me up in ways that I always felt safe with him. I felt like true masculinity is gentle and protects. And I think a lot of men miss that connection, you know what I mean? It's they like peacock and stuff like that, but my dad, he was like the sensitive emotional parent.
Right.
And I think having that balance, I think having the sensitive father and the feisty mother, it was kind of like the roles were reversed, but because of what they wanted, it balanced perfectly.
Right.
And that's a very rare situation to grow up in. You know what I mean? So I've been all over the map on my views and gender roles and men and how I feel about them and everything like that. So it's been all over the place. It's been a journey, but
well, I say that because I think right now there's a big attack on the nucleus family. And I say that to say, I think, like you said, it's not one side. I think it's both sides. I think there's an attack on, men who want to take time off work to stay home with their kids and to actually be dads, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of ostracized for not being ambitious or not,
yeah.
and then on the other side, women who want to take longer maternity leaves and, not want to be career driven, or maybe they are more career driven and they don't want to have kids. So I think with this attack on family, what do you, for you as a mom, what's the importance now for you to show? Because I've always been big on passing on things from our parents. And so obviously maybe you can't do what your parents did in the sense of your relationship.
Yeah.
But are there things from your mom as a woman that you'd like to pass on to your daughter?
Oh yeah, my mom still is. She is the reason that I survived a lot of the horrible things I went through. And she always kind of like drilled it home in me that she's like, it's about what makes you happy. And I think for like people attacking the nuclear family and stuff like that, stop listening to other people. You know what I mean? I think you always hear about the couples like, well, we turned 30, we're going to get married, and a bunch of people get engaged. Stop listening to what the majority of society is doing, because look at the majority of society. Like, things are not going that well, you know what I mean? And you owe it to yourself to have your life belong to you. And everything comes from within, nothing comes from without, But I think that people really need to stop listening to what is expected of them. I think now more than ever, people just need to reclaim their own lives. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter about, because society will judge you no matter what you do. You cannot do anything right. Someone's going to have an opinion about it.
Right.
Those opinions, it's not real. It's not real. It's just an idea in your head. It's an illusion. You need to focus on yourself. It's the only way you're going to be happy. And I think especially as a woman, it's almost impossible to be selfish in the society that we live in. The 3D world is created by men for men. And as a woman, unless you have children, you focus on yourself and you are your priority. You have to make yourself your priority in this day and age. If you have kids, you take care of your kids and you focus on yourself, because it's normalized to be a source for other people as a woman, Do
you ever get lonely?
I have, not usually for the most part. I did not really. I really enjoy, before my spiritual awakening and before my daughter, for sure, I would feel so lonely. And after having her, being in my own energy is my favorite thing to do. It's my sacred solitude. I love doing it. But I definitely have times where I'm I would love to share this with someone who saw me romantically, but I can read people very well for the most part, and I can feel right away. I can feel people's energy, so it's nothing is worth it to me to, I can feel people's energy, so it's nothing is worth it to me to, get out of my energy. And when someone does come along, hopefully I'll know that and I will love to share that with them. But for the most part, I really don't.
I asked that because well, I think that loneliness fuels a lot of the, I don't know if I would say desperation or things that we do, because I think there's this fear of loneliness where it's like, as I'm getting older, as I'm, I think society, we've put an imaginary, well, not really, there's a biological clock for women to have children and to kind of figure that out. But I think even beyond that window, I think, like you were saying, if I'm the fifth friend in the group and, the other six are all married and they got kids, and, you're even ahead of, I'm sure, some of your friends who are kind of even looking at you and saying, well, your kid's, almost 6 years old, right? Like, you have something to kind of show. And I don't understand. I mean, I have 2 kids, I'm married, but I kind of look at some of my friends that are in that single season still, and I kind of wonder if, maybe the thing that's holding them back is this fear of, not fear, but I think something I notice with people is people are always holding on to something from their past. So, for example, like for you as a mom, you may go through that first kind of postpartum or that first kind of refining yourself as thing, man, remember when I used to be able to just go out, I could do whatever
Party,
I want, I could eat whatever I want, I didn't have to share my food, I didn't have to,
it's so different,
wake up at 6 a.m. because, baby couldn't sleep or...
I think that people who, if you have a healthy sense of self and you've had an honest conversation with yourself about your trauma and you've actually done some work to heal that, loneliness isn't going to feel negative. Loneliness feels like a negative situation to people who are holding on to past hurts and stuff like that. Because once you face yourself honestly and process, like everyone is traumatized. We all have a story. We're all hurt. We've all been there. But most people aren't willing to be alone with themselves to actually deal with that in the first place. So I think if you are someone who is feeling loneliness and it doesn't feel good, that's a really good sign of starting into something that will be so beneficial for you. Take it as a good sign if you're feeling lonely and not good, because that means there's things that you can work on. Because that's definitely how I felt. Like I was so alone, and I didn't even necessarily want to be around other people either, but I was still just like, I feel so just alone, and it's scary. But the more time I've spent with myself and dealt with the 1,000,001 things that happened to me and I worked through them, it is like, it gives me a high being alone almost. Like it is my favorite thing.
So if Mr. Right walks through the door right now for you, do you think that because my biggest question I have for people is, why is everybody running away from commitment? Because sometimes, like in your case, maybe that person isn't literally, there's no person. Yeah. But then what about the scenarios where there is a person? Yeah. And, for you as a woman, do you think that for that future relationship, is that a conversation you're having from, the get-go? Or are you still kind of like, because I know you said you want to meet people organically. So. Yeah, I'm not someone, the thing is, for me personally, any interaction I have with a man, like I've been on maybe a couple dates in the past 5 years, just randomly. And as a woman, I feel like one of the most beneficial things I've done is I don't ever tell people how to treat me. I just want to see what I'm working with. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of men, if you're a nice
bubbly girl, they're going to think it's... A lot of men see niceness as stupidity. They think it's like they just see it as, oh, she's nice, she's relaxed, she won't care and stuff like that. And I don't ever tell people how to treat me. I just want to see what I'm working with, and I make my decision, and I don't explain it to them. You know what I mean? Unless if they ask, then yeah, I'll tell you why I thought it was disrespectful, and I don't know why you see kindness as a reason to take advantage of someone, but I never get that far because I can see patterns in people, and once I see it, I just remove myself because there's no reason for me to explain why someone did or did not do something that I don't like, you know? I haven't, if that does happen in the future, it's my entire view of someone is based off how they have treated me, the patterns they have shown me, and that's it. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter if they write a whole book about why I'm great. I don't care. How you treat me is the only thing I'm looking at, and I'm just going to go based off that.
Right. Because I guess for me, I'm thinking of these scenarios where, you know, people are together for like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and then it's like this weird thing of like, well, like I don't know if I like you, or you know,
what?
like and people, they're living with each other, they sleep with each other. I'm like, you're married. I'm like, you've been together for 5 years. I'm like, what's the difference?
I know. It's the thing is, I totally agree with you, because before having my daughter, I could totally see how it happens. You're just kind of in, nothing's like majorly wrong, but you're like, I've been with them for this long, and like there's nothing bad, and you just kind of like accept what it is, and then you have a child thrown into the mix, and then as a woman, it's like, this is not okay, you know what I mean? It just makes you see things. But yeah, it's a totally different ball game for men and women, because men can have like a lot, I'm not saying all men, but a lot of men can have like 5 or 6 children, and it wouldn't change their career. It wouldn't change their life. It doesn't change their body. It doesn't change their hormones. It doesn't fall on them. And for women, it's just like, are you going to die for this and live for this and are you going to give up your life for something else? So it's, I don't know, it's a lot of layers to it.
Right. Well, because I asked that because I think what I see a lot is, you know, and I was talking about this with someone close to me, and they were in a scenario where essentially, you know, they've been with the guy for 4 or 5 years, you know, they move in, things don't work out. But in my mind, I kind of was like, well, I always like to say, how did we get here?
Yeah.
And I kind of look at it and I think sometimes the worst relationships aren't the ones where maybe the guy manipulated you or did something bad, but sometimes I think the red flags are always there.
Yeah.
But it's like, if we get 60 or 70%, I think they say for men, we're not looking for 100% in a person, we're looking for 80%.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes what I see, you know, women do the same, which is, well, you know, he's not,
You're like bargaining, rationalizing. Yeah, with your own thing, like with your own.
Instead of saying, hey, this is the expectation. This is what I expect of you, buddy. Like, you know, I want I want the ring, I want the house, I want the family. But then it's like, okay, it's been 3 years. There's no ring, there's no house, there's no family. Why are you still here?
But what is your own life worth to you? That's what you have to ask yourself, you know what I mean? But and I get how those situations happen and stuff, but you can't just hope for the best. And like the thing is, as a woman, this is just my personal belief, the thing is, God isn't going to make you compromise, but men will. So if you're a woman, you know what you want, you know what's important to you, you stick to that and you don't veer from that. Like if you know what you want in your mind and you can see it, you believe in yourself, it can happen. God is not going to be like, well, put up with this. Like God isn't going to make you compromise, but men will.
Right.
You know, so that's just how I'm here to protect women, so that's why I'm here. But
no, I agree. I think that, God gave us a blueprint for a reason. He didn't give us like you said, a kind of, hey, if you feel like doing this part, if you don't feel like doing that, right?
Yeah.
But again, the reason I say that is because I think, like, I have a lot of sisters. I have like 6 sisters, and they're all in different ranges of relationships and dating. But I found for a lot of my older sisters, I feel like they haven't been in situations where men have respected them and men have treated them right. And, as a brother, it's like I have this weird, especially as a dad, I have this protective thing in me where now I don't just look at women as just like, okay, you're on your own, figure it out. If anything, I'm more kind of like, why do these guys just feel like they get to just, come into your life,
do whatever they want,
have a kid with you, and then it's like they're not having conversations with us as a family. They're not even, at least if they were just taking care of the kids and her in some way, like sometimes they're not even in the home. And so to me, I'm like, I don't know, I don't think I'm the perfect guy by any means, but I would at least want to know that if I have a young child and I have a woman and she lives by herself or she's not there, I wouldn't sleep good if I didn't know if my kid was safe or if my woman wasn't safe. And what I feel like now is like there's this culture of like, I don't know, like it's kind of okay, like it's okay not to play your role as a parent. And in my mind, I can't fathom this thing of just like, like
I totally know what you mean. I think that you have to, like, I think people don't treat you how they feel about you. People treat you how they feel about themselves.
Right.
So from both men and women, if you can see that this person values themselves and has their own set of beliefs, that is something to gravitate to. But a lot of these men who do things, this careless behavior at the hands of women, children, whatever, it's because they don't value themselves, and women are a lot of the emotional, we get the emotions that men don't deal with, the women end up dealing with it. The children end up dealing with it. You know what I mean? We're the echo beneath that. So, I think that as a woman, never take it personally. It's just, this person could be crazy about you, but if they are not feeling good about themselves, there's no way that that's going to be able to happen for you.
Right.
It's not a thing. It has to start within someone. So if you see someone that has a healthy relationship with self, that should be the main focus, and not like egotistical yapping about what they've done type of thing. When you feel someone feels secure in themselves, and people who feel that way are okay having hard conversations, and everyone should be doing that. If you're dating, if you're sexually active, if you're going to have children, if you can't have a hard conversation, what do you think a baby's going to do?
It's going to make it worse.
Yeah, like it's just like, this is what's going to be harder, like having an uncomfortable few minutes or being tied for life in some it's just like, let's just like.
But I've heard that. I've heard women say like, I'm too scared to
are you crazy?
To say like something in the beginning, because what if he gets scared away? Like
he doesn't care. Like if he's gonna get scared about that, he doesn't care about you.
But I said to my friends who are dating, I'm like, why don't you just ask the guy if he wants to be in a relationship with you from the start?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, like you don't want to say it too early, because if you bring it up too early, they're gonna think you're crazy. And I'm like,
you can't scare away people who genuinely like you and grow into loving you, caring about you. If someone, like, when you meet someone and you have that instant click, like unless you say something real crazy, like nothing is gonna like separate that.
But don't you want that filter? Like in my mind, I'm like, if I say to you, hey, I want to be committed, and that's the first thing you say, and you're like, wow, this guy's too serious. Okay, great. Like,
it doesn't mean me though. I think people are like, they don't understand that they can talk about things that they want, and dating, a lot of it's like an interview process, you know? And I think that a lot of people, well, a lot of women are worried about how they'll appear to other men. It's like, do you care if you like him? You know, like, don't you care about what you like? Why are you compromising and contorting yourself and preparing yourself in a way, like, I get you want to make a good first impression, but
I think it's the opposite. Like, I think what they should be, like, I would call it catfishing. I think what people do in dating is the men are being performative and just lying and telling you what you want to hear. And then I think the women are putting all their baggage in the closet. And then you're getting in a relationship with someone and it's like, yeah, my dad never loved me. Like, I haven't healed from any of my last 12 relationships.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm like, you guys need to just come to the table and say, here I am.
Like, a normal person has had things happen to them. That's the thing. And like, it's like dating. It's like people are like, I want to like appear so perfect. It's like, do you know the world we live in? Like, we all have some wild story of something horrible that happened. And like, it's okay.
Right.
Like, you're a human being. It happened. It's fine. But
I think you got to let people make that choice. Like, I think, like, even with kids, like, there's people who will go on 4, 5, 6 dates.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, yeah, I didn't want to let you know that I had
have
kids.
A kid.
And I'm like, why not tell the person?
It's like that's like a fundamental part of who you are. Like, why do you care if it's like a stranger?
It's not bad.
I know. It's like, why do you feel shame about it? Like, that would be more of a red flag to me if someone's like I'm an open, like, the few dates that I've been on, like, I will talk about anything. And the thing is, I think a lot of women too, they say that they're not looking for a relationship, and in the back of their minds, they're like hoping, like, he's the one, you know?
He's gonna say the opposite.
Yeah, you know, and it's like,
actually,
just like,
I am looking.
Yeah, at this big age, let's just say the truth, you know?
But I think I've seen people look pretty desperate and sad, because I think at the end of it, I see a lot of people, if they don't settle for something, they kind of feel like, well, nothing better is gonna come along, or
I'm against settling. I'm like so against it. Like, I don't get it. I know so many girls who have settled and they're like a couple years into their marriage, and it's like so much of their energy goes into like the wedding and the ring and stuff, and then it's over and they don't have anything to talk about, and it's just like, you didn't, like, this shouldn't be a goal to be married, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a perk of the relationship, you know what I mean? People see marriage as like a milestone, and I personally don't think it is at all. I think it's a beautiful thing, but it's like kind of just like a icing on the cake if you have a great relationship and you know what you want and you've planned out a structure with someone that you love. But like, so many girls are like, the most exciting thing they do in their life is have a wedding, and it's just like, that's like, want more for yourself, you know?
But I think that marriage, here's the hard part. I think marriage has a purpose. So marriage is supposed to be for family. But I think the problem is if you get married and you have no goal to have a family, then why are you getting married, right? So to me, sometimes I think where marriage has been misconstrued in society is it's become a union. It's become, like you said, it's a wedding, it's a ring, it's something I get to tell people at work. But there actually is like a purpose, like
I totally agree. I totally agree.
The concept of marriage is such an important thing, because it's what protects you from
security.
It protects you from a lot of these men out there that I think are, like I said, getting access, doing 50% of the work or 25% of the work, but getting 100% of the benefits. And not to say that every marriage works out and it's perfect, But I believe when marriage is done right, and there's a lot of counseling and there's a lot of like pre-work done, and you're not going to be surprised by all my BS, and I'm not going to be surprised by your BS, and then we make that conscious decision based on an informed choice. It's so different than like, okay, we've been together for 5 years, we've done no work.
It's a contract, you know what I mean? Yeah, and it's like transparency and accountability, I feel like, are just like the two main things that if you're going to get married, that's just say what you need, what needs to be done, and be honest, because most people getting married these days aren't worried about either of those things, you know? It's very... Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
No, I think what you said about the milestone piece, I think people are like, okay, it's been 5 years. What do we do next? Let's just get married. But to me, I'm like, if you've been together for 5 years, but nothing's changed, how have you been together for 5 years and nothing has progressed?
How have you not discussed that before if you've been together that long? You know what I mean?
But there was no plan.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think what happens for people is it's not even the fact that now they want to marry the person, but it's like, okay, we've been together for 5 years. I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
They're
just bored.
You're a known evil, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the other part. It's not easy going back into the dating world, and because as much as we say, okay, don't settle, I personally believe that I don't think that love is enough in a relationship.
100%.
In terms of like
100%.
Like when I say love, I mean not the actual true kind of unconditional, like godly type of love. I think the love is like the butterflies, like, you know, when you go on the first date and you text every day. I think that kind of love isn't going to make your relationship work.
Totally.
And I think when I see a lot of separation or divorces or problems, I think it's because what I hear a lot in relationships, and I think it's generally speaking, usually more women than men, they're usually like, I've either lost myself or I'm not happy anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think that I know how to make myself happy.
Yeah.
So I think it's insane that I'm like, you know, you're my partner, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to leave you because you don't know how to do something for me that I don't even know
how to do
for myself.
Exactly. No, I totally know what you mean. And like, especially today, like the thing is, statistically, marriage benefits men in every way. They live longer, they do better at their careers, like in every single way it benefits men, and it like does the opposite for women. And I think that's why the marriage rates are dropping so much.
You think so? Because I feel like men are scared of marriage. Like if you go talk if we go talk to a guy in the street and you say, get married, I don't think they're gonna look at it and think, I'm gonna live longer and be happy. They're gonna be like, man, I'm not gonna play video games.
Yeah.
It's like I gotta like commit to her. What if she doesn't?
It's weird.
Like
I think we're at a really weird time in society because in one way, that is true, you know?
Like, I don't think guys are jumping to get married.
They're not wanting to be married necessarily, but if you just look statistically at the marriages that have already happened, in those ways, it benefits men in every way. And the thing is, but now it's like with birth rates going down and everything like that, more than ever, like, it's like, it used to be a diss as a girl when you were younger, be like, go to the kitchen and like make me a sandwich type thing. And now it's like some like red pill men and stuff are like outraged. It's like, what's your purpose if you don't have children and this type of thing? So now it's like this weird kind of turnover in between being like women's jobs are so easy. They do nothing. They stay at home, kids easy, whatever. And now it's like society is crumbling because you don't want to be with men and like the male loneliness epidemic and that type of thing. So it's like, it's just like a big mess right now.
Because I see that, because to be honest, like when I've talked to a lot of younger men and you know, I mentor a lot of these younger guys, and I don't know, I personally don't see the younger generation as like this macho, chauvinistic, like sex hungry, just want to date 50 girls and get a notch under my belt. Like, when I talk to them, they're very emotionally in tune. They're very like conscious of like, oh, what would her feelings be if I take her on a date?
Well, that's great news.
Right.
I don't really, like, I am not around younger people, really, but I just know from my own experiences and from social media and just those types of things. But
because I think the biggest myth about masculinity, is that, like, I was raised by my mom, and my mom was, a single woman, and she taught me to be very emotional, right?
Yeah.
And I think I obviously respect you. I respect women. I love women. And I think that what men crave a lot of times is we crave a similar relationship to our mothers. And,
Totally.
And we crave that kind of love and affection, and the fact that, like, you as a mom, you're the first person that, we often see as like, how I'm going to formulate what love is supposed to be.
Totally.
And so what I think happens is that we just never get taught this thing of like, we're good enough as who we are, and that I don't have to like buy your love.
Exactly.
Because I didn't have to buy my mother's love.
Totally.
Right?
It's just it was always there. Like, that's why I was saying before, like, self-love is the best love, and investing in yourself is the most beneficial thing you can do for anyone. But I think right now, specifically for women, like, you need to figure out yourself before you're out there looking for anyone else to figure it out for you, because it's not, and it will just make a huge mess.
Right.
If you don't, you owe it to yourself to have the life you deserve and want and dream for yourself. And other people you can't rely on other people to make that happen for you. You can't just hope for the best. You have to be honest with yourself and start at the source, I guess.
Which is you.
Yeah.
And so for everybody at home, Hannah, where can they find you? What are you doing these days?
I'm on TikTok. My handle is @Melady, but that's pretty much it.
Okay, well, if you want to see more of Hannah, you can follow her on TikTok and hear more from us then.